Hi guys, so as many of you know, I've been after a new lighting kit for ages, currently using these soft boxes which are absolutely huge, and this room, the game room, is very small. I don't have much space, so leaving these soft boxes set up all the time just takes up such a huge amount of space, and they're really finicky to take down and put back up, so I generally just leave them set up in the room and it's just too much space. So I wanted something that took up a little less space. So I'll splice in some shots of these soft boxes so you can actually get an idea of how big they are. But they do the job. Another thing apart from the size is you cannot adjust the brightness. So when I turn these on, I've just got this constant amount of light. And normally you'd combat that by putting the light slightly further away from you, and I don't have much room to do that in this room. So I needed something to combat all of those issues, and the kind folks at Neewer sent me one of their NL660 lighting kits, which has solved all my problems. So in the 660 lighting kit you get two of these light stands, and they are pretty well made, certainly for the price. They've got like plastic joints on them, and there's some kind of aluminium metal frame, but pretty sturdy, certainly for what I need them for. I think if you're going on the road and if you're like a professional, you might want something a bit more sturdy, but for me, even if I'm going out and about with them occasionally, they're certainly going to do the job. Now the second thing that you get, as well as the two stands, is you get two of the actual lights, and they come in these awesome little carry cases, really quite lightweight, so if I do go on the road with these, I can just quite easily pick them up, shove them in the car without issue. Now inside there you get one of the lights, and they're very easy to set up. So to attach the lights, you just grab the light, pop it on top of the stand there, and then you just turn this little clasp, and that is it. That is all set and ready to go. Now you might notice as well that these lights have these barn doors on, so you can open up these barn doors so they fold away nicely for travel. And you can use those barn doors to angle the light in any direction that you may need. Now, just before I switch to the lights and show you the actual lights and how they work, I'll just show you the rear of this, and obviously at the moment I'm using my old soft boxes. But already you can probably see that these lights are vastly smaller than my soft boxes. And I will upload a comparison little video so you can see on the screen there the size comparison. Now another thing you'll notice with these lights is you have this clasp on the side there, and that just lets you adjust the angle, so if you want to angle them up or down. However, the barn doors do hinder it moving down, so if you want to go really like, you know, horizontal and look right down with the light, you're going to need to remove at least the bottom three barn doors, but it will angle upwards if you want to do that, and then you just use that to tighten it. Looking at the front of the light now, you have this diffuser, and there is a little catch on the left hand side, so you can slide this diffuser plate out and just have the light on. However, for me, I will always be leaving these on, because obviously I want a softer light, because primarily I'm filming myself. But if you want a brighter sort of studio light, you can just slip that out, and then you'll get the full kind of blast of the LEDs in there. This is the rear of the NL660 lights. So this one is one version of the 660 that has the little digital display, and there is another slightly cheaper version which doesn't have that display, but I think that's a really good display, and I'll show you why in a second. So you have a port here for the mains adapter, and each light comes with a main adapter in the little carry case. Now what's cool about these is you can also operate them from batteries, so you can use the F550, 750 or 970 batteries. So I have one of the Sony NP-F550 camcorder batteries here, and I can use one or two in a light. So I'm just going to slip one in there, and that just clips in to the back. Now you can use two. All that means is that you'll get longer duration of battery life. It doesn't actually affect the lighting at all. And also, from what I can see, you get just as much light from using a battery as you do from the mains, which is really appealing to me. These batteries are about 25 quid for two with a charger on Amazon, and it means that I don't have to have any clunky light cables coming from these lights and taking up more space. So you just switch it to the 1 there if you want to use the mains, and switch it to 2 here if you want to switch it to the battery mode. So we're on battery mode now, so we've got 2 dials. One is simply the brightness, and you can see there it's just going up in increments of 10%. So that being off, and then 10, 20, 30. Now what I've noticed is, because the room is very small, 10, 20% is really doing the job for me at the moment. If you wanted to light up a set or something, or if you were working in a bit of a larger area, then these lights are actually much brighter than I ever imagined them to be. So that's what that does. Now these have 660 LEDs, hence the name NL660. Now they have 330 white lights and 330 of the like orange kind of more tungsten lights. Now if you turn this, it's just turning the color temperature, so you've got a range of 3200 kelvins, and it goes right up to, I believe, 5600 kelvins. So you probably can't see too well from this angle, but you get much more of a whitish sort of almost blue tint of a glow when you're up at the far end, 5600 kelvins. Then coming down all the way down to 3200, you get much more of an orange kind of light bulb glow. So you can play with the temperature and find out what works for you. I've currently been using it on about 5000, and like I said, 20%. So the pair of lights comes with this remote as well, which is great. So this controls the brightness and controls the color temperature. So I don't need to go and fiddle around behind the lights. If I'm in front of the camera and the lights are in front of me, I can just use this remote to turn the settings up and down as I'm on the camera. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show with the soft boxes, and let me actually show you now how good these lights look. And I will just do a transition from these soft boxes to the new NL660 so you can see the difference. So this is the new lighting setup with the NL660s. Now what you want to do ideally is have one side slightly brighter than the other. So I've got 30% on this side and I've got 20% the other side, just to have a slightly softer light on the other side. Now what you can do with things like the soft boxes is you can combat that by having one light slightly further away, which has obviously been a big issue in this room. I just don't have the space to really do that. So this is perfect. I can adjust the brightness one side, so I've got a slightly brighter light on one side of my face. Now these are running off the batteries. Like I said, one side's 30%, one side's 20%, so it's a good amount of light on me, but still there's room for improvement. You can see in the background there, it's quite dark, and although I kind of stand out, there's not really that definition between me and the background. So to combat that, what I've done is I've got some RGB spotlights which light up the wall behind me, which I will show you now. And there we are with a nice pinky purple RGB light in the background. So combining those two LED lights here with the RGB in the background, I think looks really cool. It's kind of bringing me out from the background, and I don't really know what I'm doing with this camera equipment. Being a hobbyist channel and certainly being new to camera equipment and lights and stuff, I need to play around with those and see what works. But I think it's really cool, really chuffed with these lights. The fact that I can just unscrew the clasp, take them off, put them back in their little bag and pack them away within like 30 seconds is just such a godsend, compared with the faff of taking down my old lights and putting them back together, which would take, you know, minimum of 10 minutes probably, and I could probably do both of these in a fraction of that time. And even when they're set up, take up far less room, as I said. Let's switch to another colour so you can see something else in the background. So there we are with a nice blue light in the background, and these are turned down really low, these RGB lights. They go much brighter, but I found if it's a bit of a softer light, it does look better. Now if you want to grab a set of these lights, I'll leave links in the description. And like I said earlier, there are different models. So there's this one that has the digital display on the back, and there's the ones without. I would say that the digital display lets you actually see your settings, so you can remember your settings. So when I turn it to a certain temperature and a certain brightness on each one, I've got that display there, which tells me exactly what they're set to, which the remote does as well. If you use the remote, it tells you on the screen. But I know a lot of people don't really care about the lighting and things like that, especially in this hobby, but it's something I definitely think that you can utilize to up your game for the visuals for not much money. Now, these sets aren't cheap, but they aren't expensive too. The LED lighting kits can cost an exorbitant amount of money, and these kind of straddle the point between amateur and professional, so they are really good quality for amateur, and I've seen a lot of professionals using these as well, and they're kind of that midpoint in cost, so they're not going to cost the earth. But yeah, like I said, links in the description. They sell all different kits. If you want just the lights, you don't need the stands, or if you want a remote, you want batteries included or whatever, there's myriad options. So that's it for the Neewer 660 lights. Thanks again to Neewer for sending them over, much appreciated, and thank you guys for watching.